Welcome, everybody, and thank you for joining us. We're excited to talk about benchmarking today, and specifically about sort of a new tool out there called benchmarkmybuilding.com. I'm Rolf von Sozen. I run marketing and operations here at Lucid. I'm excited to have with me Josh Wentz, who's our Director of Product Management and behind a lot of the magic that we have in terms of the new benchmarkmybuilding.com. What we're going to do today is a quick introduction. We'll talk about why benchmarking and where it fits in. We'll talk about sort of the new approach that we took in creating benchmarkmybuilding.com. Talk a little bit about what kind of information you can glean out of doing a benchmark and what it can do for you. And then lastly, we'll actually go in and do a live demo with Josh, and which I think will be really helpful in terms of just going through and looking at the search results and then figuring out, okay, why is this important and what's interesting? What are the things to look forward to? So why don't we kind of get going here? And I think, you know, kind of taking a step back, thinking about what's kind of happening out there in buildings these days. It's just this incredible number of data points that are being generated by a typical building portfolio every day. And the question becomes, you know, how much visibility do you have into that continuous stream of data, and what does it tell you? And what we're finding is that obviously individuals are really taking the next step in terms of saying, okay, how can I capture the information? What information can I glean from this? And you know, is the information that I'm getting good? Is it bad? What does it mean? And I think that's where, you know, we kind of really started thinking about the benchmarking as well. So all this data that you have, we want to take that data, want to unify it across the portfolio into one holistic picture that helps you improve building operations and then drive action and collaboration, right? So we do have all this data, and we have a lot of companies and individuals that we work with that want to embrace that data and move forward with it. But one of the challenges that we have found is that there's a barrier to taking action in reducing building energy. I think so far what we've done is worked with a lot of companies that really talk about these two middle aspects here. Is what can I do? Where should I focus my energy, right? In terms of areas such as managing peak demand, managing schedules, and other efficiencies, talking about what I can do and where I should focus. One of the challenges that we've had is right at the beginning of this, which is the why do I care about the energy savings? And I think we don't really have any conversation with somebody who says, well, I don't really care about energy savings as much as I don't care enough about energy savings to really take action and to really do something. So that was kind of where we came to focusing on some of the partnerships we developed with the Department of Energy and with ENERGY STAR that Josh is going to talk about to tackle sort of this first piece here, which is benchmark my building, to be able to move from a world where it was abstract, whether you're better or worse, whether it was abstract in terms of you have a certain score and what does that score really mean. We wanted to focus on really creating a picture that showed in terms of monetary units and to be able, how well are you doing? How well are you performing? And does it make business sense to dive deeper into this area? So with that, I'll hand it over to Josh, who will talk a little bit, again, talk about the effort that we did, how we tackled this, and then go into, you know, why it's important and what we can now do with this information. Josh?
Hi, everyone. Like Rolf said, my name is Josh, and I'm the Director of Product here at Lucid. And kind of zooming out a little bit, we wanted to touch on really what our market is here. And our market focuses entirely on buildings. And the stat that you see at the top here are the number of commercial buildings in the US. 5.7 million commercial buildings comprising 87 billion square feet. And amongst all of those, there's significant waste that we've seen through many reports from the Energy Information Administration, the DOE, and ENERGY STAR. And commercial buildings, from a stat from ENERGY STAR, waste around 30% of energy. So we're highly motivated here at Lucid to change that. So one of the drivers in changing that is really some of these shortcomings, which is benchmarking today is really challenging. And it has been for a long time, and there are many tools that exist. But what we'd like to do and what we've done here is really reduce the time into making a quick benchmark very easy and approachable. At the same time, commercial analytics across on a broad scale, they don't really address retrofits really well. And as you can see here, as we dive deeper into first the why and then the what and the where, you'll see how that pathway kind of sets itself up with this trajectory of this tool. So also on a broad scale, there's very little commercialization beyond many federal tools that take some of these government databases that exist and centralizing a representative sample of these commercial buildings that you see and kind of pushed it into the private sector. So this is a proof point for that. Our goals for this project was to make public benchmarking tool free for everyone. And another big goal here too was to make it accessible and targeted and focused on what everybody cares about, which is dollars. So all of this wouldn't have been possible without a collaboration that we had made possible through the US Department of Energy. They had a small business voucher program that Lucid was fortunate enough to be a part of. And what that meant is that the DOE paired us, a private sector company, Lucid, with a public sector entity, Lawrence Berkeley National Lab. And over this past year, we've been collaborating with Lawrence Berkeley National Lab on a weekly basis to absorb all of this knowledge that exists within federal agencies, national labs, and start to disseminate that out to many different people. And the approach that we took is we started to work with Lawrence Berkeley National Lab and understanding what are all of the DOE tools that exist, some of the APIs that exist. Luckily, Lawrence Berkeley National Lab and the team there, a few on the line, including Jessica, Tianjin, and Yixing. These people were extremely helpful in ramping us up and understanding what's possible. And what we did is we leveraged ENERGY STAR and the building performance database to create this public benchmarking tool. And we realized that with these tools that exist, the user experience with some of these government tools could be improved. And I think that's what we did through this collaboration. So the result of this was really benchmarking Reimagined. We took ENERGY STAR Target Finder, they have an API, and the DOE's building performance database, and intertwined that into a brand new view for everyone to use. It takes ENERGY STAR, and a lot of people know ENERGY STAR from the building industry, and makes the barrier to entry a lot lower because you don't need a login for a portfolio manager, and you don't need to understand some of the technical intricacies that go into using Target Finder, for example. So just with 3 high-level inputs, as you can see here, a building type, size, and location, you can quickly query and search what's available in ENERGY STAR and the DOE's building performance database. And we took a lot of time to make that very easy for everyone. We also see this as the very beginning as being able to accelerate energy conservation measure projects, which, as we've worked with many people, that can be very tough to prove a budget for. And we're not guaranteeing that a particular building will save a certain amount of money. All we're doing is we're giving building owners a way to benchmark their building based off of these very large data sets that exist across ENERGY STAR and the DOE, and puts that in hand reach with an easy to use link that you'll see at the very end of this. So as you can see on the right, this is what the input form looks like. All we would need to benchmark your building is your address, your type of building, and your size of building, being your total square feet, floor square feet. There are two optional inputs as well, your annual building energy cost and annual building energy consumption, that allows the tool to personalize your output. And again, I really want to drive on none of this being possible without the DOE's and Lawrence Berkeley National Lab. So the output of this tool takes those inputs and makes all of the data that exists underneath of ENERGY STAR and underneath of the DOE's building performance database in a really, really simple format. So you can see two sample cards here that at the very top prioritizes costs, which is a huge, huge part of this project, to take these cost values that models your specific type, size, and location, thanks to the work that ENERGY STAR had done, referencing the Commercial Buildings Energy Consumption Survey, and bubbles that up into a way that anyone can understand. And then this next card, what this is doing is this is referencing a lot of the buildings that have been collected through the building performance database organized by the DOE. And what that does is it brings a lot of the buildings through city ordinances across the nation and brings that into one centralized place, since that data is public and available on many different public city websites. The DOE on an annual basis will bring that into the building performance database. And then through a few clicks of benchmarkmybuilding.com, you can see how the full spectrum to which your building may sit with those similar to it. So that kind of highlights the why. And what we want to show you here is what it would look like for you to do it for your specific building. So if you were to analyze your one building, we would need three things. We would need your type of building, being office, your location of building, being Hartford, Connecticut, and then the square footage. Let's say for this specific square footage, it was 30,000 square feet for this office building. Those are the only three things we would need to analyze your building. And as you can see on the right here, what this is showing is if you give us a little bit about your building, we can tell you both the median that exists and where you sit with respect to that median. So this is showing you as being much higher than the median 75th and 90th percentile that's coming from ENERGY STAR Target Finder. And then on the right, we've also prioritized energy use intensity. That's site energy use intensity, as you can see on the x-axis here, and takes the site energy use intensity of all kinds of city ordinances across the nation, like I said, and brings it into the building performance database made possible by DOE, and shows you your energy use intensity, say 20, which would be very good within this spectrum, from a 0 to 400 range. And what we've done is we've taken that data and we've made it a little bit more approachable. Think of this as like a really approachable way of looking at something like your credit score. But instead of your credit score, you're looking at your energy use intensity. And we show you the distribution from great to poor. So that would be one specific building, but a big challenge that we've heard is not only why do I care, but also where do I focus? So what this tool can also do is you can run it for multiple buildings. And you can see for the multiple buildings in your portfolio, office, assembly plant, sales office, engineering offices, how your specific energy costs and energy use intensity compares to the median or compares to the 75th percentile or 90th percentile if you're being very ambitious with some of your energy conservation goals. So this is just showing a quick view as to analyzing particular buildings and particular energy use intensities. And basically what this is showing you is that your assembly plant right here is $125,000 more than, say, the median. And that's significant. And what this will help you do by running this tool with multiple buildings is find out where in my portfolio I can focus. This is telling you really quickly that this building is well above buildings that are similar to it. And you should take action into figuring out where in that building you can fix and highlight particular ways of saving energy. so that you can get it closer to the median, you can get it closer to the target, being the 75th percentile. So that kind of shows you the why and the where. The what and the how is also really tough for people. But luckily, the very first step in this 5-step energy management strategy that we put together is a really specific point around what you can do, and that is centralizing your utility bill and your interval metering data. Currently, buildings often only have 12 data points, and those 12 data points are your 12 energy bills that you get throughout the year. We've learned through experience of bringing over 10,000 buildings online with Building OS that bringing on your interval metering data adds a significant knowledge jump and understanding where you might be spending certain inefficiencies across your particular buildings. So that's a really important first step after realizing why you should even start. And that why is how far off your dollar spend would be. What you can do is start tracking your data. How you can do that is Building OS is one example. And it's an example that has brought on over 10,000 buildings across the nation and world. And many of those buildings are tracking real-time data, 15-minute interval data, hour data. Some of them are just bringing in monthly data, but it brings everything in an automated fashion. That deeper step after knowing where in my portfolio, what I can do, is really how can I save energy for my particular building set. And on the right here, we're showing just a quick snapshot around how you can. And one of the really low barriers to entry is just understanding your scheduling across your buildings. So this is showing on the right side, bringing in 15-minute interval data for a particular building and showing that there is some high intensity regions here, and really some high intensity regions early in the morning that it might help to work with the controls team to change the scheduling a bit. So that's a big how. Another how is figuring out where your peak demand might be. So this is an example of where your peak demand might be with a particular building, and trying to reduce that if the rates in your area are actually charging you based off of that. And then you can see in the upper right-hand corner another view of your entire portfolio, another way of looking at your energy use intensity. After all of your data is tracked, you can automate the visualization of how all of your buildings across your portfolio compare to each other and to a previous period. So those are some of the hows. Another big how is figuring out which energy conservation measures you can use. And again, thanks to the DOE, we have a first stab at figuring out what some of those energy conservation measures are, thanks to the Commercial Buildings Energy Saver made possible on top of Open Studio. So this is kind of diving into the deeper versions of the how, but I mean, bringing it back up to the very top, who on my team even cares? What we've done with Benchmark My Building is we prioritize cost, and dollars is really a universal metric that everyone has a sense of. And whether you're the facilities, energy, occupants, sustainability, or finance, everyone is driven towards cost. And this tool prioritizes that. It brings it on at the very top of the output of the tool and surfaces what has always existed in ENERGY STAR and has always existed in the DOE Building Performance Database. But we're just making the accessibility of that easy for anyone to understand, anyone across all of these teams. You can have one link to send from your energy team and send it to your finance team, send it to the CEO or building owner so they realize just how good or bad your building might be doing. Along with that, obviously there are many other tools to prove and to figure out where you sit. What this does is on a deeper fashion. So if you were to dive into Building OS, you can start to figure out how to share great performance, for example, with energy dashboards to engage your occupants, or the executives of your particular company or entity. So with that, we'd love to dive in to show you a quick demo of benchmarkmybuilding.com. It's been live since March 15th, which is when we had presented to the DOE in collaboration with Lawrence Berkeley National Lab. So anybody's been able to try it out since then. But what we're going to do is we're going to jump over to the actual tool. So think of the name of benchmarkmybuilding.com as being, in many ways, it was inspired by other similar tools. Tools that give you output that's really functional and useful at a particular time. Think of Find My iPhone or RateMyProfessor.com. BenchmarkMyBuilding.com is hopefully something you can take away and remember and talk with others about. So just to start entering things in here, what we did luckily is not only did we simplify this to just doing your address, but we've also integrated it with Google Maps so that you can start to enter your exact address. So I'm going to enter our address here at Lucid's headquarters, 304 12th Street in Oakland. And there are many different building types here. And if you look here, these building types are based off of ENERGY STAR building types. And they've been narrowed for the initial release to all of those that are eligible to receive an ENERGY STAR score, which was really important so that we could not only get the median, but also 75th and 90th percentiles for these buildings that we're showing here. So we're an office, obviously, and we're around 30,000 square feet. And basically, I'm demoing this as if I had just jumped on and heard of benchmarkmybuilding.com, and I really don't know, for example, my annual building energy cost or my annual building energy consumption. And that's okay. And we had anticipated that, where a lot of people jumping on and using it only know 3 things about their buildings, 3 very easy things. So the very next step here is clicking next. And we're going to enter, I'm going to enter my name and Lucid and then my email. And then right after that, we're going to click benchmark my building. And what it's going to do really quickly there is access both ENERGY STAR and the DOE's building performance database. And the DOE building performance database is comprised of around 200,000 buildings and 22 billion square feet. And on top of that, ENERGY STAR Target Finder is built on top of the Commercial Building Energy Saver, which references in total, it's a sample set that's representative of all of the buildings in the US at that time, which was 4.6 million commercial buildings and 68 billion square feet. So this is what that's representative of, and this is what that's pooling from in just a few clicks of your browser. So the very top is showing you your particular building. Think of this as your personalized card for your office type and your climate zone being warm climate, warm and marine here in Oakland. If we keep scrolling down, this is what I meant by prioritizing costs. The very first thing that we want to show you is we want to surface what the median annual energy cost for your type, size, and location is. And this shows you just where that's coming from for this specific search of your type, size, and location through ENERGY STAR accessing CBEX. If we keep scrolling down, you see your energy annual cost for your particular building. And this is showing you your median, 75th and 90th percentile, both the dollar and also the dollar per square foot shown right below there. This is also a data set that's being pulled from ENERGY STAR Target Finder. If we keep scrolling down, you can see your annual energy cost, also from ENERGY STAR Target Finder, and this shows you your the median, 75th and 90th percentile kBTU, so the total energy, and also your energy per square foot, your kBTU per square foot here. So the really unique part of what we've done, and this was only possible with this collaboration, was we've realized the true value in the DOE's building performance database, being able to show you that for an office of this particular size range of 25,000 to 53,000 square feet in this particular climate zone, there are around 852 buildings similar to us. And this shows us a range of energy use intensities from great to poor, and that's referencing the building performance database here. Think of this as just understanding the spectrum of EUIs that exist for your particular building. Obviously, we want you to compare your personalized building. So we're going to continue to ask for your energy cost and consumption, but what I'm going to do is go right back to benchmarkmybuilding.com and show you a personalized version of this. So as we jump back here, it's going to reload the page. And let's say at this point, I know my exact type, size, and location. And there's a few helpers here as well. So if you don't know your kBTUs, you can start entering in your electricity values and your natural gas values here. And we're going to convert that to kBTUs on the fly for you, and then save that so that you don't necessarily need to know kBTUs. You can enter your exact units that come through on your monthly bills. So I'm going to enter an example here, and feel free to do this anytime you'd like to demo this to others or describe this to other parts of your company. You can try an example. And this shows an example of the Empire State Building in 2008. And what we're doing is we're just showing you just how much the Empire State Building was spending in 2008 before they applied energy conservation measures. So we're going to benchmark the Empire State Building there, which is an office of 2 million square feet in the mixed humid area of New York, New York. And since the building, this particular building was spending $11 million in 2008, this is just showing you at a very high level the range to which you could be saving if you were to meet the median or 75th percentiles. And again, this is referencing data straight from ENERGY STAR. So it's just us organizing that in a unique way for you to put forth an energy budget for people. So this is showing you your personalized version and your percentile with respect to your particular building with respect to the 75th percentile. So that would be for the personalized costs. The same happens for your consumption. So we'll layer in you with respect to median, 75th, and 90th percentile. And then we'll also show you for this large of a building, and there are lots of buildings that are larger than 200,000 square feet, which is a broad range that we've added that are of office of this range. And this shows you just how large an EUI could be for this particular type of building in New York, which is getting very wide range of climate conditions, from winter snow to very hot summers. Really, the next step here is to realize that this is just a snapshot of one single building over 1 year. And the intent here is to really catch more people's attention around how your building stands with respect to those similar. So this is just a benchmark of one building, and we hope for you to use it for benchmarking your entire portfolio, which is why we're here to help. We're here to help, and if you click on this, you can reach out to us. And what Building OS does on a deeper level is it figures out, helps you figure out how to track that performance over time and ultimately reveal money-saving insights. You can always share these results. So if you click on this, you can take this link that you just got there and email it on to someone on your team just to show them how far off your particular building is. So that's a really quick demo of the tool from both a simple version and a more advanced version if you know your specific cost and consumption. And at this point, we have, at this point, I think we'll open it to questions and discussions. Before we do that, again, all of this was not possible without this collaboration with the DOE and Lawrence Berkeley National Lab. So we want to thank them, including the DOE and LBNL team, into making this possible. These data sets have always existed. All we've done is attempted to make that very simple and approachable for everyone, and an easy link, benchmarkmybuilding.com, so you can remember it. So
great, I appreciate that, Josh. One of the questions that came through was, with all that data that's available and that's been aggregated by the DOE and the EPA and some of these entities, why did the DOE choose to work with Lucid rather than working with, say, Google or someone like that?
Yeah, we've been very excited to have the opportunity to work with the DOE, and having talked with them over this entire year. Lucid, I think, is unique in that we work directly with building owners, and we have been for over a decade. Lucid was founded over a decade ago, and the origins of the company were in real-time competitions across dorms. And over the 10 years of time, we realized the value in tracking many different buildings, which is where Building OS, the product of buildingos.com, started, which integrates with around 150 different building hardware and software systems. And we focused on that user layer, that user interface layer, to make this deep sets of data really approachable. So it's really in the DNA of Lucid to take data and make it approachable for anyone. And I think that's a huge part as to what makes us different than Google, and that we focus on user interfaces of specifically buildings. And Google, I know, focuses on many other projects, and Lucid specifically has been doing that for a decade. So it's been an exciting collaboration. Yeah.
Another question I have, Josh, is in terms of, you sort of have comparisons of buildings, right? You could have an office building of, say, 1 million square feet, and how does the value that you get here account for the density of occupants or of computer equipment or copiers or things that could be energy intensive, which could be very different from one office to another?
Yeah. Whoever asked that question is bringing up a great point. And luckily, we're not taking anything that doesn't already exist. And what I mean by that is we're leaning on the shoulders of ENERGY STAR and the DOE. And luckily, ENERGY STAR Target Finder, they've built in defaults for those highly energy intensive things that might exist, computers, servers, in particular buildings, particular types. So luckily, behind those types defined by ENERGY STAR, the defaults have been built in. So as you're entering your type, size, and location, the default intensities for these more intensive pieces of equipment, whether they be HVAC or server related for computers, they're built into that type of building. And that's all defined through ENERGY STAR's documentation, luckily.
So it's already, in terms of the types of building, it picks up a lot. Now, whether you have a building that is very densely populated versus not so populated at times, that's something that you kind of have to adjust for on your own, I would assume, then, kind of. Because they're at different phases of.
For sure, and actually expanding upon that, we've had a few customers and users that have asked about that. And basically what we recommend now is we're servicing the median annual energy cost for you. So if you were to run two different types of buildings, say an office and a hotel, or anything that might be a unique combination of a few types, you can take those high-level output of dollars and basically have a sense as to, my building is really intensive, but it also has this office piece, and kind of merge them up yourself. So yeah, luckily that's made possible through running two different versions of your exact building with two different types.
Sure.
Yeah.
So this obviously is only available for the US at this point, right? US buildings are the ones that's in this database right now. Do you foresee, are there international databases like this? Do you foresee this expanding? Is there an ability to expand this tool in the future?
Yeah, so right now, the scope of the tool is limited to the US, and that's mostly because ENERGY STAR and the DOE's building performance database, they're all based off of US buildings. Luckily, though, U.S. buildings in the United States of America is pretty diverse in climate. So if you have a building in another location that has the same climate as, say, Miami or Chicago or Oakland or New York, you could run it as if it was in one of those cities. The part that will definitely take some more time to expand beyond the US is the dollar element. So feel free to use the tool to benchmark energy use, because there are climates across the world that are very similar to the climates of the US. But the cost of energy across the world is very different than the US. So that's the one piece that will take significant more time in expanding to other locations. Yeah.
Yeah, we've got time for one more question. It's a pretty good one. It kind of goes to the point of now what, right? So we have all this data that's been collected and that we can do a benchmark off of. But how about data in terms of that could produce recommendations as to what should I be doing if I'm below a certain amount, or if I'm a certain type of building? Where are the databases in that, and where do you see that kind of coming into this equation? Because that would sort of be the ultimate, right? I just sort of put the information in, and it sort of automatically gives me some information about, hey, you should think about variable speed fans, or you should think about refrigeration, or where are we with that?
Yeah, so this was a first release that we were very excited to pair up with the ending of our Department of Energy grants. But through this collaboration, we've also realized that what the DOE and Lawrence Berkeley National Lab has a database of energy conservation measures that exist for particular type sizes and locations. And what we've done is we built an internal proof point for that inside of Building OS. And what that'll help the customers do is figuring out that deeper sense of how. I'm a building owner, and I didn't study building science. I don't know much about building engineering. And I just need to know, for my type, size, and location, what are energy conservation measures that may help me save energy? And luckily, there's a pathway set up that exists within Building OS right now, and there's continued collaboration that we hope to be having with Lawrence Berkeley National Lab through a future grant. And what that will do is make some of this deeper sense of how I can save approachable to not only Building OS customers, but potentially benchmarkmybuilding.com. So what that does is it gives you energy conservation measures, ECMs, by type, size, and location. And that's a big first step in understanding what to do. And that's often coupled with tracking your data, which Building OS does very well right now.
Well, great, Josh. Thank you so much. I really appreciate all the detailed info. And I think I want to sort of end with inviting everybody to use the tool, to share the tool. There's no cost or anything associated with it, because really this is part of us wanting to make it available for a broader set of people, knowing how important this is for individuals to make the business case, to understand where they're at, what the opportunities can be that can be realized through some energy measures. So with that, I just thank everybody for joining us today. If you have further questions, feel free to contact us. And with that, I wish you all the best for the rest of your Thursday. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.